Hey, it's your Boomer Consumer, and this video is all about what I like to call the topping stack. Consists of the topping A30 Pro headphone amplifier and the topping D30 Pro DAC. As a disclaimer, these were sent to me for review on loan by APOS. However, all opinions of my own. No one's reviewed the video prior to posting. Why would you want this little stack right here? Well, we're going to get into a lot of the details in a few minutes, but bear with me. The purpose of something like this is to use, say, with your computer, where you can stream music through various music services. The DAC has inputs for USB, for optical, for coax. You could hook a CD player up to it, other sources, and listen with the headphone amplifier. You'll notice right up front and center, there is a balanced output. Kind of rare on these stacks here, but there it is. You can listen to some really great sound with great headphones and this stack and keep it at a very reasonable and affordable price. Unlike having a big stereo or hi-fi system, this is going to be a great solution. And we're going to review each one of these separately in this video. Now let's start with the A30 Pro amplifier. Got all these holes on the top of it. No pattern in particular as far as I can tell, but kind of cool looking. Again, aluminum construction on here. Let's talk about some of the features. First, it has single-ended. It also has balanced inputs. Why do you want balanced inputs? Because it helps reduce noise. Gives you a quieter signal. It also features a ground and lift switch. What is that about? Well, normally you set the switch to ground. We'll cover it when we look at the back of the amplifier. But essentially, if you're picking up some hum in the background, you can use that switch to try to get rid of that. Now, another cool feature about this amp, when it is powered off, any signals coming into the amp will pass through, right? So you could have the stack but still pass through to another amplifier without another amp getting in the way. Nice little feature on there. You have a 3-step gain switch. Let's just talk about the front panel on here real quick. First, you have your input switch, and you'll see there's a little LED on there that tells it the power's on. You can switch between RCA or your balanced cables, XLR or off. You have gain on here, negative 14 dB in low, up to plus 14 dB in high. This will power just about anything you throw at it. All right. It is made to pair with the D30 Pro. It ships with a power cable, a 3.5 to 6.35 millimeter adapter for headphones. You get a user guide, warranty card, covered by a 2-year warranty. Going back to the front panel, you have the balanced input or the balanced output for headphones, 4.4 millimeter output, and then you have a 6.35 millimeter output. And then you have your volume control. Very, very basic stuff. Now, let's take a look at the back. Let's talk a little bit about the power and what this thing can do. At 2 channels, 6 watts each at 16 ohms, 5.5 watts at 32 ohms, 840 milliwatts at 300 ohms, and 420 milliwatts at 600 ohms. So this will drive just about any headphone, whether it's, in-ear monitors or some really power-hungry, open-back headphones. It's going to pretty much power anything you want. Comes with a 2-year warranty. Let's look at your outputs. You have a balanced out here. This is that ground lift switch I was telling you about. Normally, you're going to leave it set to ground. Of course, your power on and off switch. And then you have your inputs. So you have the balanced right, balanced left, as well as single-ended ended in. You have RCA outputs as well if you want to pass through. You have balanced as well. That is what's on the back of the amplifier. Again, the retail price is $349 for the topping A30 Pro amplifier. Very lush sounding. We're going to get into the sound in just a minute, but it sounds fantastic. fantastic. Just in case you're wondering, the total height of the stack, if you put them together, there we go, 4 inches, just about 4 inches. So they don't take up a lot of room. Let's just talk about distortion for just a second. 0.0006% distortion. I mean, is imperceptible to the human ear, the distortion on this amplifier. Frequency response is rated between 20 hertz to 40 kilohertz, plus or minus 0.05 dB. That's on the single-ended end, and the balanced input is also 20 to 40,000 kilohertz at 0.10 dB. As far as the physical dimensions are concerned, it is 6.85 inches across by 5.4 inches in depth and 1.7 inches in height, or 17.4 by 13.8 by 4.5 centimeters. Now, I did want to cover some of the sources I used in the review. And I use this with my Weem Mini, playing Apple Music with AirPlay, and also Amazon Music. A couple of the albums I listened to were Giant Sand's Tucson. The Windblown Waltz just sounded so amazing in this stack. Also put on some Beatles, the Beatles album, The Beatles. And man, I tell you what, Billy Preston just did such an amazing job on Get Back. Loved me some Dire Straits, big Dire Straits fan. Brothers in Arms, love that album. The Walk of Life sounded so realistic, so warm and punchy, but not tiring, listening through this DAC and amp. All right, now it's time to talk about the Topping D30 Pro DAC. It's got a lot of features to it, so let's jump right into it. This has got a quad DAC. There are 4 Cirrus Logic DA chips in there, the CS43198, for a total of 8 balanced channels. PCM 32-bit to 384 kilohertz, DSD256, but that's using USB output from this DAC, all right? If you're using coax or optical, then you're going to get 24-bit, 192 kilohertz, and DSD of 64. It comes with a 8-core XMOS XU208 chip for better USB output. Now, when you're using a custom, I'm just not sure how you pronounce it, but I'm just going to spell it, the THESYCON, Thesicon, not sure how to pronounce that, driver, but Audio. That's how it affects working with Audio for improved Audio playback. Now, you don't have to fiddle around with any drivers, right? You just hook it up, connect it to your Windows machine, and off you go. Just select the settings you want and be done with it. Don't worry about that so much. It can double as a preamp. You can use it with an active monitor just fine. You have selectable output ports, balanced outputs. Again, you have your USB, optical, and coaxial inputs. You get a remote control, 9 different filters built in. By the way, I went through them all. Could not tell any real difference in any of them. Just stick with the default filter, you'll be fine. Ships with the D30 itself, USB cable, user guide, again, a 2-year warranty. So the Topping D30 Pro comes with a very nice remote. It is plastic. And you have your power off and on, mute, volume up, volume down, change input, next input, last input. This is a switch button that doesn't do anything. Same with this one. These 2 buttons here don't seem to do anything. Changes your line outputs, your filters, auto off and on, so basically it goes into a sleep mode, and then the brightness level of the LCD display. Now you'll see that I have it in DAC mode, but if you want to use it with a combination of preamp and DAC, you have to turn it off, then press and hold the volume control and turn it on at the same time, and that will put it into a preamp mode, and then you would adjust the volume here. Your various stages on here, so you can see that we changed the, or I should say various inputs, coax, USB. There's your optical. That's what I'm connected to the Wii Mini with. And if you had it in preamp mode, you'd also see your volume levels as well with that. So those are some of the features of the front on here. This is a multi-function switch. You can also just press and hold, and then it puts it into a sleep mode, little orange dot. That comes on there. Tap it again, and it comes back on. Guys, basically, use the remote. That'll pretty much do everything you want to do with this DAC. Okay, let's take a look at the back of the D30 Pro. You have a balanced output right, balanced output left. You have single-ended outputs as well. Your inputs, you have USB, optical, and then coax, and then your standard connector for power, and your off and on switch. And that is what's on the back of the D30 Pro. What do I really think about the topping stack? I've had it for about a month now. I listen to such a wide variety of music. I'm not your typical into the super audiophile stuff. Classic rock, believe it or not, some reggae. I like that. Some classical. Not a big country music fan, but in other words, what I'm trying to say, my musical tastes are varied. Typically, I kind of stick with classic rock from the 70s, 80s, etc. And I have to say that using these with my HIFI Man Edition XS headphones, I could listen for hours, never feel fatigued. The sound was just always spot on. The bass, very good, very fast, very tight. Vocals, mid-range, again, very not fatiguing at all, not overtiring. And the treble was always maybe just a little bit north of neutral, but that could be just me. I found it to be very pleasurable to listen to, and compared to trying to set up a big hi-fi system and spending a ton of money, something like this would do a lot of people just fine. It is the gateway drug to becoming an audiophile. That's it. That's my review of the Topping A30 Pro headphone amplifier and the Topping D30 Pro DAC and the stack that combined they make together. Bruce Naylor, your Boomer Consumer. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.